All right, so we're back again, and guess what, guys? Epstein's on the menu. All right, so for months and months, the left told us that Trump was on the Epstein files, and you know what? They got him.
They
They
got him.
got him. Yeah. So
Yeah,
if you clicked on to watch the live stream, okay, so this is where we talk about how the Trump administration is over. We're going to be looking to see if JD Vance is going to step in and continue with the America First conversation, and hopefully he's not bought by big tech like everyone has been saying for the last year or so. So, guys, it's a sad day, but you know what? They got Trump. They got this picture of Trump sitting with Epstein and a clearly underaged girl, and it's damning evidence, guys. Damning evidence. Yeah. So, I guess the chat is going to come alive with people saying that they told us so. I guess so. But you know what?
it,
So if you believed all of that, okay, I've got a bridge, okay, in Washington D.C. to sell you. so one of the outrageous things that I keep seeing is how the left continues to depend on lies to sell their message. And here I was minding my business, wondering, okay, so what are we going to talk about today? And I figured, okay, let's see what's going on in Epstein land. And we titled this live stream "The Real Leftists of the Epstein Files." Okay, they're having a meltdown, and this picture that we used on the thumbnail essentially showed up on X. And um, so this is a post on X. Just in the Epstein files release was so bad for Bill Clinton that leftists keep posting fake photos of President Trump with Epstein and purported victims. All right. So these leftists are truly disgusting. Now, here's the picture that showed up on our thumbnail. If you clicked on the thumbnail and you're like, hey, wow, what happened to Trump? I thought this channel was pro Trump. Well, it turns out that you have people on social media who hate Trump so much that they don't care if they post lies and smears simply because they hate Trump. Okay, all right. So here's this account on X that says Trump's hand is on this little girl's leg, and then that post got community noted. It says this is not a real photo. This has been debunked. When your entire position on the left is built on lies and selling lies and pushing lies, okay, if if you're okay with that, if you're okay with selling lies in order to push your position or to sell the thing that you believe, okay, then that's fine. Let's know that that's what you do. But don't get upset when you get called out and when you get exposed, because this here is yet another lie. And one of the things that we love doing on this channel is exposing the hypocrisy and the lies. So this is yet another lie. Now, what isn't a lie is what we're going to be watching next, because the ladies of the View,
well,
okay,
first, I would like to point out two things about this photo
yeah,
that can tell you it's a lie. Number one, everybody but Trump in this photo is in a swimsuit.
yeah,
You don't wear a business suit to the pool. That's number one. Number two, the position of his hand and the shape his hand is not a hand that would be lying on somebody's leg or gripping or anything like that.
yeah,
The thumb is misplaced.
yeah,
The index finger is misplaced.
yeah,
So, and if you look real close around it, the shadow to the right of his arm
Uh-huh.
should not be there.
Yeah.
That was a sloppy job.
Look, if you're going to lie, guys, if you're going to lie, okay, first of all, lie convincingly. Second of all, make sure that all the evidence lines up. Make sure it all lines up. All
And
right.
do a
Now,
better job if you Photoshop something like that, for gosh sakes.
yeah, so this has been debunked, but what hasn't been debunked is that your favorite show, okay, your favorite show, the ladies of The View,
Oh, yeah.
happen to be on the Epstein files and they're having a complete meltdown. So I'm going to, so let's, it's cracking me up. I'm sorry. It's funny because here, um, I'm going to read the caption on this post so that we can just play the video. Okay, so you can hold on. All right, so all the women on the View are in full panic mode because their names appear in the Epstein file, and then here they are. You're going to hear what they have to say because now they're trying to claim that being in the files, if they're in the files, they did nothing wrong. Okay, they did nothing wrong if they're on the files, but since Trump was mentioned in a few emails, oh, he must be guilty. So let's watch them and then you give us your thoughts in the chat. And you know what, we read the chat and we respond. So send your message. We see the chat coming in, we're going to be to be responding. So let's listen to them.
We're on the list because we were at a party or a wedding or something that somebody might have been. That's what I found out anyway.
Yeah, no,
I was at Trump's wedding to Marla.
Right.
Maybe Epstein was there too. Who knows?
I don't know.
So that means that I'm not guilty, obviously. But these other ones, how are you going to decide who's really guilty and who's
Well,
not?
I think
very
it's.
tricky.
I think. No, I think it's. I think it's very clear because if you look, you know why my name is there. Because someone was looking for a plane, and that's what people do. They go to all the people who have private planes and say, "Do you have one?"
And you didn't get on the plane.
I didn't get on the plane. I didn't know they were looking for a plane.
Yeah.
I had no idea that the plane that I was supposed to be on was no longer available. So I'm named in there like Whoopi Goldberg needs a plane.
But there are a lot of people that are
Maryland.
So you see how they're bending over backwards to explain that they were simply mentioned, but they don't offer the same explanation when it comes to Trump. If you're
Well,
going to be like, all we're asking from people who are on the left, who are left leaning, is be consistent. Okay, just be consistent. Patricia, you wanted to say something?
yeah, I don't see any of those women ever getting invited to be on the Epstein show.
They're not his type, I guess. Let's keep
Monroe
this.
was on the list.
Yes.
There were plenty of people that were there are plenty
Elvis
of people
also.
named in
Yeah.
the list that may have not done anything wrong.
Yeah.
But I think that there are a lot of people that are on that list that are guilty
Yes,
of
indeed.
wrongdoing.
Yes.
And
Yes.
I have no confidence, unfortunately. It gives me no pleasure to say
Well,
this. But I don't have any
let me
confidence
say
that
it like
this is
this.
But isn't that what President Trump has been saying for months? He's been saying that, look, there are people on that list that that may not have done anything wrong, and then they attack him. And then they attack him like oh, he's defending these ghouls, these PDFs. And then when they show up, oh, it's the same excuses that President Trump has been making for months, protecting you guys. So let me get this straight. You guys have been protected by the same guy you've been attacking for the last few months. Now, isn't that crazy? That
They are
that
just, I mean, release the Epstein files, release the Epstein files. Then when they're
conservatives
released, the only
conservatives
ones connected in badly is the far left side.
Yes, conservatives have been in an uproar. Like, there's been a full-on revolt on the conservative side simply because Pam Bondi botched the Epstein situation last year. President Trump said a few things to the effect that this thing is a distraction, And everybody, like the conservatives, have been on a full-on revolt for the better part of a year. And it turns out that President Trump has been protecting these guys,
Nobody's going to go to jail.
which is the
Very,
unfortunate
very
thing.
few people will ever end up in jail over Epstein.
Yeah.
Period.
So let me quickly read. I'm going to quickly read the chat, and then we're going to move on, because this is the real leftists of the Epstein files. Okay, we're going to look at a few people who showed up on the Epstein files, and then you guys let us know what you think, because they've been telling us for months, that we're on the wrong side of history. We're on the wrong side of history, guys, because we ask for facts. We say, where are the facts? And they're like, no, you're on the wrong side of history, because you don't simply hate people we tell you to hate. So, real my channel description. Read my channel description. Okay, that's a nice one. I think this is the first time you're posting, so thanks for posting. AI still struggles with hands. Call them out, report, block channels, but make sure you tell this creator to FO. And you guys know what FO means. Look, when people simply tell lies, look, it's frustrating. This, okay, so read my channel description, okay, guy. The
Well,
thing I
one
found
thing I
out,
know, read my channel description. You are right on. But that was photoshopped. AI would have probably done a better job at it, because the shadow from his arm on the right
yeah,
going across Epstein's chest is wrong. That's off.
yeah,
And then the shadow connecting him with Epstein's neck, that's another one.
yeah,
So if you've ever done Photoshop, you can pick up on those kind of things real quick.
yeah.
I've found pictures of guys in military uniforms on Facebook that they've been photoshopped and changed the name tag and the insignias on them.
Yeah.
And somebody has told me, "Oh, he's Army," and I said, "Well, if he's Army, why is he wearing an Air Force uniform?" You know, the photo
it's
is fake, people.
it's fake, and it's been community noted. It's all a hoax. Okay, so yeah, so we're calling them out in real time. And one of the things
Yep.
that we're trying to do on the channel, and maybe later at some other live stream, I'm going to bring you guys up to speed. We are tightening our fact checking system, and we're working hard to bring receipts whenever we do our video on demand content. I just released one yesterday, talking about the Stephen Colbert accusation that the Trump administration censored him, when it was his own station censoring him, because they didn't want to have to play by the equal opportunity rule that's been on the books for 67 years. Okay, they wanted to push one candidate, one Democrat candidate. And then, because they saw that they would have to give the floor to two other Democrat candidates, they insisted that the show didn't air Tallarico's interview. And then they get up, and Colbert says that Trump was pressuring the studio not to air the interview. So we came with the receipt. So if you're not seeing that video, please, if you're
Which
watching,
channel is Colbert on?
he's on CBS.
Yeah, can you see Trump calling CBS and telling them not to air something? Really?
Seriously. Right. So and then read my channel description also says the view are sold dried up souls.
Well, read my channel description. You are nicer than Greg Gutfeld, because he calls them a bunch of heifers and cows.
All right. So moving on, the real leftists of the Epstein files. Okay, another liberal hero, Noam Chomsky, gets exposed in the Epstein files. Noam Chomsky is one of the big heroes who the left wants us to listen to. He's meant to tell us how to live our lives,
Hmm.
right? This guy tells you how to live your lives and what a real society looks like, right? So these are the people who are dictating to us, okay, us peons, how the world should work. but these are the guys who are on the Epstein files. Now, I'm sure that there have been tens and 100 maybe articles defending Noam Chomsky. Oh, this was just a picture of an old man counseling a young financier, and he's getting he's getting wisdom from Noam Chomsky, right? However, however, um, they wouldn't give the same grace to Trump when Trump was filmed showing guests around. I think it was Mar-a-Lago. He was showing guests around and happened to be caught on camera showing Epstein around, and they're like, "Look, they're BFFs." All right, so this is the stupidity that we continue to see. We have someone, VJ 4324, said something that is it's interesting to point that out. He says that Epstein looks like Ric Flair in the thumbnails. I guess he's right. A young Ric Flair. I guess so.
Yeah.
There's some of that going on there. Yeah, I guess so. So the View and the left protect their own. Now, I would have loved to play this video, but it's just a waste of time. It's more coping from the mainstream. So mainstream media attempting to link the Epstein files or Epstein to Putin is a sign of desperation of the elite. That is George Calloway. I wonder, does that make
Putin.
sense?
They're trying to link it to Putin now.
Yeah. They're trying to make people look away at Moscow rather than at Tel Aviv and the CIA themselves. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you think there's merit to that post? Do you think there's merit to that post? Like,
No.
I don't think now, guys. This is
I
a
never
this
heard
is
of Epstein flying into Russia.
I don't know about that. I don't know about that. But then again, do you know
He
what
could
this
have.
is?
I mean,
This is like the JFK files. You're not going to get anything reasonable at the end of this whole conversation. I don't think at the end of it you're just going to see like Canary King and I talked about this afternoon, and yes, there's been movement in the UK. Do you know why there's movement in the UK? Okay, now I'm going
Stallman.
to well, Keir Starmer appointed someone who was on the Epstein files, who supposedly passed a background check before he was given the role in Keir Starmer's office cabinet.
And
Okay,
they arrested the
and
former Prince Andrew.
then they arrested former Prince Andrew. Now, why is all of that going on? I'm going to ask you guys to leave your opinions in the chat. Why do you think there's much of a ruckus going on in the UK, and we haven't yet seen one arrest in the US? Let me know your thoughts in the chat, and then we'll talk about it real quick before we wrap up the live stream. Okay. Now, these are other people who showed up on the Epstein files. Okay. Democrats are radio silent on the Epstein files. Why? For years, they screamed Trump, Trump, Epstein in every reply post and blue check rant to smear him. Now, crickets, why? Because the latest drops are naming their Hollywood and elite favorites. Okay? You have George Clooney, you have Jay-Z, you have the TMZ founder Harvey Levin, you have Obama, Bill Clinton, you have Timu Obama, Hakeem Jeffries. You have leftist elites have been exposed to be the real people connected to the Epstein files, and the outrage machine of the left has shut off. Okay, the hypocrisy level is just set to max right now. Like, they are just pretending nothing is happening, and then when people really show up and are tied to the Epstein files, do you know what they do? They fly them to Berlin to go tell the rest of the world what America is and isn't supposed to do, like they did with Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
Okay, she and her husband show up in her husband shows up in the Epstein file, but you can't tell me that Hillary didn't know about all that.
Well, he
But
not only showed up in Epstein files, it was on the plane and the island on Clinton. That photograph of him at the pool
yep.
was on the island.
Oh, that was comedy gold. That was comedy gold. Just
Yeah.
having a sitting president get give Jeffrey Epstein 17 trips to to the White House. Jeffrey Epstein visited Clinton White House at least 17 times, according to a report. Okay.
I often wondered if Epstein didn't have a blackmail program going on.
Well, that is the story. Okay, so let's read this caption from Funky Town. The Clintons invited Epstein to the White House 17 times, but liberals think the guy who kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago and contacted the police is the PDF. It's it's the hypocrisy that I keep calling out, and the more you call out the obvious, the more enraged people who support leftists and their policies get. Leftists will accuse Trump and Republicans of being PDFs, linking them to the Epstein files, then try to stop ICE officers from arresting actual PDFs. Let that sink in. Okay. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to vote or who to vote for. I'm not going to tell you that. All I'm going to do is just lay out the evidence, and then you use your God-given brain and your and the moral framework that we all use to justify protecting ourselves and the things and people we love, and try to apply it. Just have some self-realization and learn how to apply that same logic to other people. And that's why we say the left just simply has to be consistent. Just be consistent. If you're going to say, like the View has said, oh, we only just showed up in a bunch of emails. We just showed up in a bunch of emails. So you shouldn't assume that we did anything wrong. Why would they, for months, continue? They've been pushing and insinuating that simply because there are a couple of pictures of Trump in the open at public events, there's no picture of him on the island. There's no connection, between him and Trump, and it's been publicly known that Trump kicked him out of Mar-a-Lago before he was even convicted. And it's coming out that Trump was one of the informants who informed on Epstein to the FBI. But do they celebrate it? No. The TDS is so deep that anything that remotely says that this person did something good is is completely off the table. No, they won't cover it, they won't talk about it. But you know what, in order to protect themselves, they're saying all of the words that Trump used last year when he was talking about the Epstein files, saying that there are a bunch of people in those files who did nothing wrong. And they're like, oh no, he's protecting his billionaire PDFs. Yeah, he might not be on the file, but he's protecting the billionaire donors. He's protecting people. And yes, for the first time, certain people on the left and conservatives were saying the same thing. Like, why don't you release the files? And then he does this 3 million page dump or three
Yeah.
or 3 million file dump, and it's been messy. Now,
And nobody was shocked that Clinton was in the middle of that. I mean, while he was running for president, Jennifer Flower, a woman he'd had an affair with for 12 years. Then you had Paula Steele,
yeah,
and then you had Lewinsky. I mean, just one after another. And people were shocked that this man showed up in the middle of it. Yeah, right. And everybody says, oh, poor Hillary. Well, Hillary knew about all the others because she threatened them.
anyway, I have my thoughts on this, and you know what I said to Canary King this afternoon. I said, over 90%, about, I said 90%, but I believe over 90% of world leaders are involved in this madness. It
There
might
could be a
not
lot
be
of them. Yeah.
it might not be Epstein, directly connected to the Epstein situation, but when it comes to crazy sexual deviancy and crazy things that they do, over 90% of the world leaders do it. And then, like, he's like, why do they do that? It's a conversation for another day. So
Yep.
this thing that they're trying to say Trump does, and everyone is losing it, it's something that most world leaders are already doing in the privacy of their own mansions or palaces. They do this regularly. It's been that way for millennia. And the only reason they hide it is because um, the general culture of civilized society has been taught to reject it. And who taught them to reject it? The church. That's why leftists hate the church so much, because the church doesn't smile at these crazy things. We saw them trot out uh, a few choice reframing of words, like they want to stop calling people PDFs and call them minor attracted individuals. Like, why
Yeah.
would you do that? It is to dull the gravity of the insanity, the sickness that people are out there perpetrating, and to normalize it among regular society. Why? So that they can do it in the open.
Yeah.
And that's why Hollywood has been pushing um, insanity for decades, to try to make all of us be okay with their insane lifestyle. They want it to be okay to do the things that they push, and that's why they push it so much and they put it in your face. Now they want to write these laws on the books so that it's legal for them to do it, and then it's illegal for you to say that's disgusting.
Yeah.
So guys, keep your eyes wide open. Okay,
But
look, I
they used the Epstein files to go after one other guy that was a Democrat. He's still a Democrat, but he turned on the Democrats. He's a professor. I think his first name is Victor,
mm,
and he does a lot of videos on what's going on with in the federal government
yeah,
in different ones, and they wanted to destroy him. And he had uh, contact with Epstein over legal advice.
mm,
He had never been on Epstein's plane. He had never went to the island, but he had talked to Epstein about some sort of legal advice. And Victor is a constitutional, uh, he's a professor that teaches the U.S. Constitution.
okay,
And he's also a lawyer. But that was one of the things that they tried to use to attack people on the right, was with the Epstein stuff,
yeah. But
knowing
these
full
but
well that their people were in there.
Oh, but yeah, but this was the insanity. All right, this was the insanity that they they try to make it appear like, if you're remotely connected to the Epstein files, you're a horrible person, you're evil, and you need to be canceled.
Well,
But
Clinton
once,
got away with a whole bunch of sexual deviant things. So they thought, well, it won't stick to us.
well, the no the, but the thing that I'm still talking about is for them to be consistent. Just be consistent for once. If you are going to scream blue murder because someone showed up on the Epstein files who you don't like, when someone you like shows up on the Epstein files, don't change your tune. If the same thing you've been like, what's good for the goose has to be good for the gander.
Well, that's never worked on the Democrat side.
Well, and that's where I call hypocrisy
Yeah.
all the time. I call hypocrisy.
I
Now,
mean, they stopped Gary Hart from running for president by a photograph of him with his girlfriend on a boat when he's
yeah,
married. And then they bring Bill Clinton out, who had an affair with a woman for 12 years.
and then they vote him into office like nothing happened.
Yeah,
Yeah. So they look, it's been happening for years. We just have to demand consistency. We have to demand
that was
consistency.
Paula Jones in Arkansas, not Steele.
Yeah. So leave your thoughts in the chat because we're circling back to that question that I asked earlier, if I can remember the question because it wasn't planned. Okay, so we'll circle back and then I need to know what you think in the chat because we're just going to talk to you in the chat. Let's see. We have nothing to do with the Epstein files. The Democrats do, and that's what Trump has been saying for months. They all went to the island. Reid Hoffman, Larry Summers, Bill Clinton. Some of the people we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship with Epstein. And this is the guy that they're calling Satan.
Yeah,
Okay, this is the guy who stopped women from being abused in their own sports by men who are mentally unstable,
yeah.
becoming or being qualified to compete against women. Cowards who can't compete with other men decide that, okay, let's go and beat up on the girls. And everybody wants us to be okay with that. Okay. So,
You
guys,
know, Trump has always brought up the point that when something bad happens, that there are also good people that get caught up in it,
yes.
like in the Charlotte incident. That yeah, there was people there protesting for and against
Yeah.
that were good people, and yeah, there was some deplorable people there protesting also. So, and when you look at a situation like that, it's like, well, it's like the war in Iran going on.
Yeah.
Are there good Muslims there?
Yes.
Yeah. Are there bad Christians there? Probably,
Yes.
yeah. But I think there are more bad Muslims there than bad Christians.
Well, but like we always say, you have to be consistent. You can't claim that everyone who's a Christian is fantastic and they walk on water. And you and I know that we've met some really really bad people who claim to be Christians. And then
Yes.
when you happen to point out, oh, and how about these other guys who
Yeah.
clearly say that they're Muslim, clearly say this is what they believe, and this is clearly what they do all around the world. You're called an Islamophobe, you're called a racist, you're called a bigot. Like, just be consistent. On our side, we call out our own people. The biggest uproar has happened coming from the conservative side.
Yep.
The conservatives have been incensed by how the Trump administration has essentially been slow walking this whole legal process with the Epstein files. They wanted Pam Bondi fired and replaced with somebody else because of the gaffe she made last year. We want to see more arrests. We want to see more consequences. And we're the ones screaming the most, the
What
loudest.
what I would like to know is what do people think they can charge somebody with for being associated with Epstein and going to his island?
True. And
What
that is the
what's
thing.
there that is something that was against the law? And as far as Epstein's island goes, it's out of it's out of U.S. jurisdiction. That island was,
Yeah.
from what I understand, and you've got to look at the facts.
It's
The
it's
girls that were involved were not 12-year-olds. They were of consent age. they had made the choice to go to work with Epstein and his girlfriend. Were they dumb little girls? More than likely. You take an 18-year-old, a 17-year-old, and you put them in the room with a famous person and they go all goo goo eyes. And then they let people manipulate them into doing these things. Because in all reality, that 18-year-old was an adult woman. Um, and then to turn around and say that they were raped, I don't think there was any evidence of them being held against their will. That was the main thing right there, against their will. Was he trafficking girls? Um, did his girlfriend recruit him? Yeah. Were they paying the girls? I don't know. Probably.
So I heard something this week, and it kind of also threw a wrench in the whole thing because if it's true, then the entire situation is a huge mess. And what the person said, I think I heard this from Nick Freitas. He said some of the victims on the file themselves became predators
Yeah.
because they were sent out to
To
recruit
recruit more
other
people.
girls.
Yeah.
So it became a huge mess because when you say, okay, this person is a victim, and then when you search through the files, you find out that that person who was a victim a few emails up suddenly began to groom and recruit other people. It
Yeah.
it makes the entire thing messy. And when it's difficult to say these things because whenever you try to bring a common sense conversation to a very complex uh, issue, and it's complex because you have many people who start out as victims, who start out as people who are disadvantaged, and then over time, because of the evil that is in the human heart, and this is where the left doesn't have a concept of what's going on, and they're like, it's either you're evil or you're righteous, and nobody who we set up as a victim should be painted as evil. So if you attempt to do that, you're a bad person. And until you understand that there is evil in the human heart, that the human heart is desperately wicked, that's what the Bible tells us. Until you understand that, you won't be able to understand how a victim can eventually become a predator themselves. And that is what happened to a lot of these people. Does it make it all right that they are victims who became predators? It doesn't make it all right that they were victims in the first place, but it doesn't make it all right either that they turned from being victims to becoming predators themselves. Like it makes it a complicated spiritual conversation that the left are not capable of having. And so they try to boil down everything to Trump bad, and conservatives are supporting a bad person, so you're all evil and racist. That's what they try to boil everything down to. But this whole thing has always been a spiritual war. And you know what? If you're listening, and this is the first time you're listening, let's take a segue and talk about the condition of the human soul. All right, this isn't popular, but everything you see in the world is connected to the condition of the human soul. If you see someone doing something deeply evil and you can't understand why people can sink so low to do these evil things, even though they looked all warm and cuddly, like the girl you're seeing in the picture, who knows, it's all Photoshop, but let's just take her as an example. She looks like a very decent young lady. She's a white girl. People like white girls. Okay, they look innocent and they look like Barbie dolls. It's a marketing thing, I guess. And then you look at white people, they're like, oh, this person can do no wrong. And oh, look, she's smiling, she looks happy. But you don't know that, but all you see is the outside. what's going on in her heart. And like Patricia said, a bunch of these girls who were connected to the Epstein Island, well, went along with the whole thing willingly.
Mm-hmm.
They went, why? Because it gave them access. It gave them access to powerful men, and they got some advantages. Okay, does it make what was going on okay? No.
No.
Does it make the powerful men taking advantage of young girls because they need access to them, and then they abuse them and use them because of that access? Does it make that okay? No. But why does it happen? Because of the evil that is in men's hearts. So
Well,
until we
the
understand that, it's going to be a very difficult conversation for anyone to have.
the real telling of this story happened when it first broke. When the Epstein thing first broke, I thought to myself, okay, there's going to be a lot of criminal lawsuits
That's it.
against Epstein and his buddies for being involved in this. And it will come from the girls that they hired to do this. And when none of that came about, I went, whoa, wait a minute. Evidently, these girls were of the age of consent and agreed to do this for either favors of fame or money.
Yeah.
And if that was the case, there is no lawsuits because they agreed to prostitute themselves.
That's
But
a that's an unpopular position to take, because how dare
yeah,
you accuse a victim of doing something society has frowned on for a long time? But you see, like I said earlier, you need to be comfortable having these complex conversations, because
you've got
um
to look at it from both sides. Yeah, Epstein set the whole thing up, but where did
it's
he get the merchandise to pull it off?
look.
I mean, there was no stories of these girls being locked in rooms, chained to beds, or anything else like that. And that's when I started noticing, what are they talking about?
Well, so guys, you're watching and maybe you're looking at us in horror because we're not towing the party line of saying that the victim is always right. But look, we need to learn how to have these complex conversations. It's a complex conversation, and like the women of the View have shown us, simply screaming Trump bad, that person who doesn't vote the same way I do is racist and a bigot. Oh, bad, bad, bad. Simply saying that isn't an honest intellectual conversation, because
Who, who,
when the same person who is attacking the other person they hate winds up in the exact same scenario that they were
you know,
berating the other person about, how come they suddenly begin to sound like the other person when they were attacking them?
I mean,
Yeah, go on.
there was that other guy. What was his name? Harry something from Hollywood that actually sexually abused girls and women. He was connected to Hollywood, and what happened to him?
Weinstein.
Huh?
Was it what now?
Weinstein.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Weinstein. He's in jail right now,
Yeah.
and essentially he's trying to get an appeal, and he's doing a media tour trying to get people to see that he did nothing wrong.
And
And
was
look,
there any private lawsuits against him suing him for what he had done to the women?
I
Has
don't
anybody
recall.
heard of any of that happening?
No, I don't think so. And I think
No.
that essentially is because um, there are so many holes in that argument, because you're grown up and you made a
Yep.
decision to sleep with a powerful man in order to get a job. you got the job, you got famous, you got very rich as a
Yep.
result, and then 20 years later you flip around, and because it's convenient, you want that person you had a transaction with to look like they were Satan. Now, do I agree with that process? I don't agree with that process. Okay, men are supposed to protect and defend the people who are weaker than they are. And if a woman walks into your office and she's weak and she's not as strong and as advantaged as you are, your job is not to figure out what to take from her before you give her the things she needs. You don't rip out her soul because
No.
because you're in a position to give her something that she wants desperately. You don't do that. But hey, these are wicked, evil souls walking around, and they did that. Now, the
And a lot of people do not teach their daughters about this type of animal.
Patricia, I was avoiding that because it's going to raise a lot of outrage because Virginia Giuffre's parents, okay, and I'm going to just say it, the parents of all of these girls, like the parent of this girl, now, if this is a real picture, let's just assume the picture without Trump being photoshopped into it or AI into it. If there are actually these little girls who grow up and they believe it's okay to sell their bodies to powerful men, okay, it's on the parents. If
I'm
there's a if there's a school, if there's an incident of firearms violence in a school, it starts
Yeah.
with the parents. Okay,
There,
so yeah, keep
and
going.
a lot of people really get mad at me for making this point, though, because when I was growing up, sex was never discussed. Never. You never heard your mother talk to you about it. I mean, it was something that was voodoo. And then after that, after the 60s and 70s, it became more relaxed between a mother and a daughter to talk about it. And this was something that I noticed that there were some girls I grew up with in high school that fell victim to these predators.
Mhm.
And they were never told you don't want to mess with that type of person. They were never warned that these creatures were running amok out there in the world and to avoid them. We all knew about pimps. Well, how did they think they got their prostitutes
Mhm.
to work for them? And yeah, you can go to jail for being a pimp,
Yeah,
but
but
prostitution is illegal in a lot of states.
but Hollywood itself, okay, Hollywood itself is one gigantic prostitution ring.
Well,
It
it was
is.
because of Hollywood that America changed their law on adultery being illegal because so many of them were out there doing it.
Yep,
Yeah,
yep.
in America, it used to be illegal to commit adultery.
It still
And
is. It still is. It's just that certain states have chosen not to enforce those
yeah,
laws.
yeah, it's you won't
It's
hear of
still
somebody being
it still
prosecuted
is.
for adultery.
Yeah.
You'll hear about them being divorced for it, but not prosecuted for it.
Yeah. All right, guys, you've heard us talk for a while, and some of you maybe like that we are having this conversation, and we appreciate the fact that you're hanging out with us. Wherever you're watching from, okay, there's a link. I believe there's a link that invites you to become a member to the channel. It helps us keep doing what we're doing. I keep forgetting to do this, but I'm gonna
Hit
start doing
those
this
thumbs
now.
up.
Hit the thumbs up to let YouTube know that people like you enjoy this content. And then one of the things that we like is to hear from you. Let us know in the chat what you think about some of the things that we've said, even if you disagree. Okay, like the last live stream we had a running conversation with a member of the audience, and we tried to be as gracious and as common sense with them while we had this conversation as we could. So please consider also engaging in the chat and let us know what you think about our position, the things that we're saying, some of the historical facts that we're bringing up, and some of the common sense ideas that we're sharing. Because it's common sense to say, okay, so if you have a 20-year-old woman who finds herself, or no, not finds herself, she went to the Epstein Island because she heard that she was going to meet powerful men who could help her have an easier life, and she chose to she agreed to a transaction. Okay,
Mhm.
and it's okay to say that. But if there were children involved in any way, you call it out and then you expose it. You should shout from the rooftops. Like, we're not saying that uh that 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 people who did something wrong should be let go. If there were people who did things wrong, let's find these people and let them, be prosecuted and so on. We're all for it. But we should be able to have these complex conversations. Why? Let me tell you something. Powerful men all over the world do these things regularly, especially in third world countries. They do these things regularly, and their spouses are involved as well. It's a
Yes.
crazy thing. And it's hard for people like us with simple lives to imagine a world where a man and his wife are consensually participating in this kind of insanity. But the world works that way. That's how the world works.
There
Now,
is a lot of weight to the words of teach your children well.
yeah, the book of
And
Proverbs says, train up a child in the way he should go,
yes,
and when he's old, he will not depart from it. Now, there is a running theme, and I'm going to tell you to check it out and fact check me, okay, with facts, okay. But there's a running theme that that girls who grow up in homes where the Bible is not read, where they do not practice the teachings of Christ, tend to be fair game for predators.
well,
There is a running theme, and I want you to push back on that in the chat or in the comment section. Patricia?
there's also cult like environments that uses some things that will affect how a child looks at the world
Yes.
when they break free
Yes.
of that control.
Yes.
And it can be very wild.
Yes.
I
Especially
mean,
when the family is practicing a very strict and abusive expression of what they believe is Christianity. And
well,
listen to my words carefully, because people will say, well, their family is Christian, but when you look in there, you don't see Jesus in those families. All you see is rules and a lot of hatred disguised as trying to obey the Ten Commandments.
and there was always a saying that you would hear somebody say in the church I grew up in, that some of the worst kids were the preacher's children.
Yeah.
And we'll have to discuss that side some other time.
Oh no, like so I have a discipleship channel. Patricia knows about it.
Yes.
And you guys can throw those questions in there and I will talk about them. These are
Yeah.
complex questions. And okay, so I'll talk about my family because I don't get offended by talking about my family. My grandfather was a Pentecostal evangelist,
Ah,
and Patricia will say no. Now, not Pentecostal in the way, like, whenever we say Pentecostal, is a broad spectrum,
yeah. I
and
was
there
I
and there are
was
the
raised to clear things up with the viewers. I was raised in a Pentecostal church. I did not raise my children in it.
mm,
Um, I raised my children in a Lutheran church and Baptist churches. Um, I was baptized in a Baptist church, and I was told by my mother that I was splitting hell wide open just because I went to a Lutheran church. But not all Pentecostal were like that.
mm,
And I know that there were some that weren't so embedded in it, but a lot of people don't know that the phrase "drink the Kool-Aid" is associated with the Pentecostal,
Mm.
and it comes from Jim Jones taking a bunch of people down to South America and having them drink Kool-Aid that had cyanide poisoning in it. They
Mm.
even fed baby bottles of it to the children.
Mm.
There was, I forgot how many people that they found dead down there in the jungle that drank the Kool-Aid. And it was more of the more radical, what you could call the radical left of the Pentecostal,
Yeah.
on a more cult basis.
Yeah.
But when people get involved in things like that, the children break out
Yeah.
of it. There can be some hair raising going on that you wouldn't believe.
Yeah. So I just want to wrap up my story, and then we can just just tie up this loose end, because it's a loose end. Because I made a statement earlier, and it's an open claim that if you teach your kids the Bible, your kids won't wind up in the circumstances that most of these girls did on Epstein's island. But
Yeah,
Patricia brings up a very important picture, that you have to do it the right way, because you
that's it.
don't Paul was talking to the church at Ephesus, and he says, parents or fathers, don't exasperate your children. Okay,
Yeah,
don't pressure them into being frustrated with your faith, and then you turn them away from Jesus. That's what he's talking about. And what happened with my granddad was, he was a Pentecostal evangelist, lived his life, he had a good life, yeah, and so on. But uh when I grew up and I watched his kids, not all his kids followed in his footsteps. And that's one of the things that you also see in most of
yeah.
these situations. And so one of the things that I decided to do, what was this: I will read the Bible with my kids. I will. My kids are my first students whenever it comes to the Bible. I teach my kids the Bible first before I go on YouTube and do videos. They are my first students, and so I read the Bible with my kids. They ask me hard questions, okay, and then I try to answer these questions with grace, not because the Bible says so. I have to go through the thought process. Bless you. I have to
Thank
go
you.
through the process of breaking down the ideas of scripture with my kids, so that they understand what the Bible is talking about, and they can, for themselves, explore faith, for
Right.
themselves, and not try to live out their parents' faith, but discover Jesus for themselves in the writings of Scripture. So there's a very different approach that a lot of families take, that turns their kids away from following Jesus, and then it makes the life of people who fall into the lines of the predators very attractive, and they go after that.
The
And that is
best
something.
thing that you can teach your children about God
Yes.
is not to fear God, but to love Him
Yeah.
because He loves you.
Yes.
And when you teach a child that, they're not fearful of believing in God and Jesus Christ and the Holy Spirit.
Yeah.
And they're more accepting to what God says you should do because the Bible is a roadmap to life.
Yes, it is.
And I think I've said to you, AA, before, is that all God ever wanted was for man to do the right thing.
Hmm.
Real simple. Don't kill your neighbors. Don't steal from them. Don't lie to them.
Don't abuse your neighbor's daughter because she came to you for a jug of milk.
Right.
Like, it's like what we see on the Epstein Island is just that. Your neighbor's daughter came to you because you have a jug of milk, and she
Yep.
needed help, and you decided that you wanted a transaction where she sold her body to you for
Yep.
a jug of milk. And then you made a business out of it and called over all of your powerful friends and said, "Hey, we can sell it, we can buy these bodies for jugs of milk, and
Yeah.
I'm running a racket here. And then you go out there and find other girls who want to sell their bodies for a jug of milk, and you bring them over to your house. Like, it's a crazy picture to paint, but that's exactly what's going on. And when you look at it and are disgusted enough about it, but then you find out that the neighbor's daughter was 20 years old,
Yeah.
it's like, okay, it changes the picture radically. And then it begins
And
to,
when you take a young woman like that who's wanting to pursue an entertainment career, a
yeah,
modeling career,
yeah,
become an actor, or some high powered influence person in those fields, they are the most easiest ones
yes,
to get sucked into that.
yeah. Oh, you're talking about Hollywood. How about the modeling
Yep.
career? How about the
Models.
how
Yep.
about the publishing career? How
Yep.
about news? How about the process of interviewing as a news anchor and so on? Like, there's so many. How
Yep.
then? Let's leave that arena and talk about regular jobs. Okay, back in Nigeria, there was a situation where girls who wanted to work in banks had to look a certain way. And
Yep.
of course, if you really dig deep, you'll find out that there were lots of girls who sold their bodies because the person who was responsible for giving them the job told them, okay, you're going to have to play ball or you don't get this job. Like,
Yep.
it's
Well, that's went on in America.
it's happening. Like, it's like
That's
I
why
said,
we've got laws about sexual harassment.
it's going on anyway, because what happens is sometimes it's not the guys who initiate the conversation, it's the women who
Yep.
throw themselves at the guys to say, look, I'll do anything for this job, wink wink. Look, it's a
Yep.
crazy world, guys. It's painful to kind of pull up all of these things and say, look, these things are there, and you need to look at it, because when you look at them, it forces us to ask ourselves the question: how dark is the heart of men and women?
Yep.
Okay, it's not just the men, but also the women, because sometimes you're saying, okay, now you have labor laws that keeps men from doing this because they have an advantage. But what do you do when a stunning looking girl walks into your office? You're not hiring, and you tell her, sorry miss, we're not hiring. And then she sits in a compromising position. She's dressed to arouse you, and then she tells you that she's open to anything, wink, wink, and spreads her legs. I'm being very graphic, guys. These things happen to powerful men.
Yep.
And the powerful men, maybe they had a bad day at home. And that was the day their wives chose to not be
Even
nice.
powerful women have done this to men. I mean, it's crazy that And how many of you would get up and walk out of that office?
It takes a lot of fortitude to walk away from that. It takes a it takes a lot.
Yeah.
It takes a lot, and there are men who have walked out of that, but they are the unsung heroes. Okay, it's the many men who fall for it that we see, on the newspapers, and women say these are predators. But what no one talks about the woman who initiated the contact.
Yeah.
It's
That's
this has
that's
gone
like
this
Monica
whole
Lewinsky.
conversation has gone into an arena that is so uncomfortable, but you have to look at it and say, okay, what happened here? And then when you look at it,
Yeah.
it messes up the narrative that you see coming from mainstream media, coming from the magazines and tabloids, and even the things that we assume because we just want to hate people. We just say, "Hey, that person is rich and powerful, therefore they're evil." You need to ask these questions because these are the things that are actually happening.
That's like when the thing about Monica Lewinsky came out. I was very famous for saying, it's all Bill Clinton had to do was walk out of the door of the White House confront the reporters and just look them square in the eye and said, "It's none of your business," and turned around and walked back in the White House, that story would have died right there, because Monica Lewinsky was an adult woman working at the White House that made the decision to be Google eyed on the president. I mean, a girl faced with being favored by the most powerful man in America and knowing that he had cheated on his wife, that was common information out there. So could they be persuaded to have an affair with him? Yeah, very easily. But
Um. Anyway.
I mean,
Like.
it goes both ways. And then when I hear about a man telling a woman, if you don't have sex with me, I'm going to fire you,
Yeah.
that's when it gets bad. But if she goes into his office and starts flirting around with him, and then this thing goes on, then she's just as guilty as him.
Yeah.
So you can't always just look at the woman and say, oh, she's a victim. Yeah, but what was she doing? What was she doing to enter that situation?
Patricia, the chat is dead silent. Like it's like they don't
Yeah,
know what to do with this. They don't know what to do with
it's
this
a hard
because
conversation to have. But
it's
that's like I've said all along. There's not going to be that many people arrested over what went on with Epstein,
yeah. It's
because
it's a
those girls are not going to come forward and press the charges.
oh, they're swinging from the Trump administration isn't respecting the victims because they're not releasing the Epstein files to how dare you release the Epstein files? The victims are being affected by the release of the Epstein files. Just be consistent.
Yeah,
Just be consistent. And to have these real conversations, like when you have this kind of conversation, guys, when you're capable of having these kinds of conversations, something like the Epstein files can't determine who you vote for. It loses its power
yep,
because they can't just throw it to you like raw meat to raving dogs, and you're like, oh, Epstein. You have to sit down and look at it and say, okay, so who started it? Why did they start it? And who's behind this? Like when you begin to ask those questions and have real conversations around that piece of red meat, like instead of ripping it apart, you sit around it and say, okay, let's take a look at this red meat here. Okay, let's talk about what's going on. Let's talk about who wants us to be focused on this red meat. What are they trying to get us distracted from? When you start having these kinds of real conversations, okay, now that is a dangerous voting class to the political elite. They know they can't control you. They know that they can't simply tell you to hate someone and you hate them for no reason other than they said that you have to hate them. And it's important that we kind of slow down and talk about these things. These are like I'm having this conversation, and you know what? While I'm saying the victims need to be treated compassionately, I'm also asked, like Victoria. Sorry, I said Victoria. I'm sorry, Patricia says, um, how about the fact that they were grown up, they were adults, and
yeah,
they made an adult decision? How about that? It's hard to have that if you sat with one of the victims and then you had this real conversation with them. Do you know what's going to happen in the media tomorrow? They'll say that you're being wicked and evil because you were pushing back at a
yeah.
victim. Yeah, they will make you look like a monster
It,
because
it
you
doesn't
you
fit the
ask them
narrative.
you ask them to be accountable for their decisions. How dare you tell them to be accountable?
Yeah,
And it's crazy. It's crazy. Okay, so now we're asking the Democrats to be accountable for Hakeem Jeffries asking Epstein for money, Representative Plaskett texting back and forth with Epstein during the Trump impeachment situation, Bill Clinton showing up in the pool naked with Epstein's wife or partner and an
I
unknown
think
girl.
she was just a partner. Um,
Yeah, like
but you know, the thing with Hakeem Jeffries was the money thing was going on after Epstein had been charged, before Epstein was arrested. That's what made the Hakeem Jeffries thing so bad. Was that the accusations were out there, the charges had been filed.
and they
They,
still went to Epstein for money.
yeah, but he still went to Epstein for money.
It shows how comfortable their party is around this kind of behavior. So, guys, it's been a very fiery chat. Let's know what you think. Okay, we have viewers spread across our three YouTube channels. Okay, so it's just so if you're looking and you're saying, okay, I'm here and I think I'm the only one here. No, there are three channels. We're streaming to three channels, and we stopped streaming to Kick and Twitch because we had a bunch of bots trying to get us to buy stuff during live streams. So I figured I my life is better not including that noise. Let's know what you think in the chat before we wrap up. Okay, we've said a lot. What do you think in the chat? Is a complex conversation. Yes, the left thought that they got Trump, but essentially this was another hoax. We've
Yeah.
pointed it out. It's been debunked. Now they want to pivot to say that Trump essentially hasn't released all the files and that his name is on the rest of the files. Is that is also going to be proven to also be a hoax? I I, I said to Canary King this afternoon. I said um, Trump had stepped out the first time to say he was running for office. And then when he did the assessment, he stepped back and said, okay, I'm not doing this. The second time he stepped forward to say he's running, they thought he was going to do the same thing. And then he winds up winning the election and becoming president. But if they wanted to destroy him that many years ago, all of the said files that Trump is hiding and suppressing could have been pulled up and used against him. They hate this guy largely because they don't have anything damaging against him, and
No.
he doesn't respect them, he doesn't care about them, and so he's dangerous. He came into the game having his own money. He was already popular. He didn't need to campaign. He was a he people knew who he was. He was a celebrity, and then he steps out, a billionaire celebrity who just wants to be president, and he didn't have to campaign much to be known. And then he wins the election. They hate the fact that they can't control him, and so
And that's what
has he done
makes it,
horrible things? Has he done not horrible things, but has he done things that are not morally right? Like
yeah,
cheating on his wives, like having
yep.
divorces, like saying things that people who say they are good Christians shouldn't say. Yes, he's done those things, but not in the way that they want you to believe those things were said and done. And look,
Well, the funniest thing about him and his exes is you never hear none of them go before a video camera and put that man down.
yeah, it's
That's
crazy.
something. I
It's
mean,
crazy.
they would have the biggest opportunity to make billions of dollars by doing that, but yet none of them ever have. They can make more money than they get off him.
Well,
But
and you can see that all his kids, grown, adult, and their grandkids, they love him.
yep,
So look,
and they've
you
got good
can get
morals.
family members, brothers, sisters, siblings, cousins to step up and say horrible things, but kids, if Trump was truly as horrible as they want you to believe he is, his kids and his grandkids wouldn't want to have anything to do with him.
Yeah.
Okay, but they love, like, you can see it on their faces that they love this man. Okay,
And
so
you've got
so
to really understand why he is so dangerous to the
mm,
left.
mm,
The left was building up this country to be taken down, to be controlled by elite leaders of the world for a specific thing, like communism under it,
yeah,
and to control the people with fear and with little hand me outs of bones to chew on of,
yeah,
you elect us and you'll get more food stamps. We'll make sure free housing and free buses and free food and free health care and free this and free that. And Trump came in and said, no, we don't want you on welfare. We want you to be able to go to work.
yeah.
We want you to build your own wealth. Oh, no, no, you can't tell people to build their own wealth.
No,
No, we need them. We need
that's
them.
the unforgivable sin in politics, because the politics of today tries to make the voting population beholden to the politicians.
Yep,
They want you and I to have our total existence dependent on the mood of the political class. That's
yep,
what they want. And when someone steps up and says, "No, we work for you. The voting class is your employee." They hate that. They don't want you to believe that.
no,
Look, guys, I
that's something
come
that
I
they.
come from Africa. I come from Africa. And one time I heard, now this was something someone told me, that a child who had grown up in the United States and came visiting in Nigeria panicked, and while a convoy, the convoy usually consists of police vehicles with sirens going off, and then in the middle you have the politician or whoever, being escorted by a convoy with sirens, and then that child panicked because they heard sirens, and I was asking the question, why did they panic? And the answer was because sirens are never used in Western countries unless there's an emergency.
Yeah,
In Nigeria, sirens are what the powerful politicians use to get around. They do that because they need you, the peons, to get out of the way because they need to get somewhere real quick. All right, like those kinds of abuses of power happen regularly in third world countries.
yeah.
And most of the politicians in the West want that kind of power. They
And
want that
some of
happening
them got
here
it
in the
with,
West.
with the fraud that's been going on with government spending
Yeah,
and how they funneled money back into their own personal accounts from it. So that was something else. And when Trump hit the pavement running and announced Doge, you all remember what they all came out and started saying about having Doge
yeah,
open up. And what's come of that, we found out that billions and billions of dollars have been siphoned off of the federal government for personal gain to support political parties.
yeah.
And I'm a true believer now that we need more people who were not career politicians to be in office.
True, true.
And we need to do the litmus test of, is the candidate telling you what they are going to do, or are they asking you, what do you want me to do?
Yeah,
There's your litmus test.
yeah. Anyway, and then when they attack the person who's carrying out his campaign promises and say that he's destroying our democracy
Yeah.
for doing what he was voted in to do, okay, that is where you know what they really think about democracy.
Trump's
Um,
strongest support comes from we, the people, having told him that we wanted these things done. And what did he do? He went in the office and he started doing it
Yeah.
in a heartbeat and did it very fast, very efficiently. And that's why the people love him. It's got nothing to do with his personal business, his personal family life, whatever it is. It's got nothing to do with that. It doesn't have anything to do with his political contacts in the past or now. It's got everything to do with him telling us, I heard you. You want this done. I will do it.
Yeah. All right,
And he's
Patricia.
doing it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he's doing it. Okay, so guys, we're going to say goodnight. Like, I hate to do this to you, but you know what? I told my wife we're going to try to keep these live streams at under an hour. We have failed to do so tonight, so we want to apologize.
Yeah.
We have stepped over the hour mark. In fact, we've jumped over the hour mark, and we just want to say this. Okay, thanks for watching. Thanks for hanging out. Help us spread the word by sharing the video, liking the video. Leave a comment even after we go off the air. Leave a comment and leave a chat. Like, we need you to help us get this kind of thinking out there. We're not asking you to be partisan. We're not asking you to be vote red, no matter who, vote blue, no matter who. We're not trying to do that. We're asking, why is all this happening? Let's ask the real questions. Let's not spread lies. There's something
Okay.
that Patricia says regularly. Do you know that when you repeat a lie, it makes you a liar?
Yeah.
And you have people who are on social media spreading pictures like this picture that I put up as the thumbnail. Okay, like they don't care that this is a lie.
No.
They
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 care
don't.
less you find out it's a lie.
Yeah,
Because
they
there are going to be some people who look at that and say, oh, that's real.
yeah they want you to be fooled. Okay, they want you to be fooled, and whenever you hate people so much that you're willing to sacrifice your soul to go, your soul is being sacrificed, because every time, do you know, every time you tell a lie, you break your soul. Because your soul knows this is a lie, and yet you will open up your mouth and you frame your words and your inflections to make this thing real. You damage your soul every single time you do it. Okay,
You
so
know,
whenever you
I found out that investigative officers with the police, they have proven that people can't remember their lies
yes,
because your brain cannot store it because it knows it never happened.
yes,
And that's why when they interview people, they'll keep asking them the same questions worded differently over and over.
yeah,
Because if the person's lying, they're not going to be able to remember what they said.
yeah,
And that is something that with these type of lies that they go after to destroy people with, they don't care that they're found out, pointed out, accused of being a liar, as long as the damage that they were going after to be done happens.
yeah.
That's why you see newspapers bury their lies 2, 3 pages in
Mm-hmm.
for corrections. They call them corrections when they knew darn well it was a lie.
Yeah. I'll be honest with you. It's heartbreaking to see those things happen. It's heartbreaking
Yeah,
to see, like, guys, um everyone hates being lied to, and everyone should hate the concept of having to twist your soul in order to say something you know isn't true, but because you need to damage someone else that you hate, you're willing to do that to yourself. Okay, you're willing to do that to yourself. Let me tell you something. Okay, if in 2 weeks or 2 years or 20 years, some of the things that I have believed on this show come out and it's like, hey, this is false, I will come up and say, oh, this thing that I said that time, I was wrong. It didn't happen that way. I want to keep my soul together. There is a destruction that happens to your soul when you push a lie that you don't care is a lie. You don't even do any research. Like the videos that I've been doing recently, um and if you followed my content long enough, you will see that there's been an evolution. I have moved from just having an opinion, because what I used to do was I would do reaction videos to things that are happening in news and politics, and my reactions mainly tended to be accurate. Like the way I reacted to the stories tended to be accurate, but it lacked the addition of facts and the actual details of those situations. And so I decided to switch over to including the actual facts, dates, and everything. And it's made the videos come out, I've gone from doing daily videos to just doing a video or two every week, because it
Yeah.
takes time to do this. I want these videos to stand the test of time, to where in 20 years you watch this video and you can see that I did my best to look for the facts and bring it to you, the audience, and say, hey, yes, I believe this, but here's the facts. These are the things that are on paper, black and white, and I need you to look at it and tell me if I'm wrong, if I'm reading this wrong. I know I'm from Africa, but English is my native tongue. I think in English, and I think I'm good at speaking English, but I need to know that I'm understanding what I'm reading here, and you're seeing the same thing too. So I'm trying to make that happen so that we can all grow and outgrow this insanity of simply parroting what the mainstream media wants us to believe and hating somebody simply because they want us to hate them. Okay, so um I've spent the last almost
You
10
know, I've
minutes.
I've had people to really get mad at me when I point out the different sides to a story like this Epstein.
Yeah,
And the reason why I stand on what I say about things like this is people don't ever think about both sides of this issue. I mean, they came on strong with the Epstein files and they were going to make a drama scene out of it because we were going to take Trump down with it. They threw Epstein under the bus, knowing darn well that every one of them was going to be highlighted from it.
yeah,
But like I said, Bill Clinton got away with it how many times? I mean, there was when Paula Jones sued him for sexual harassment while he was governor of Arkansas, it was going to go to trial. And you had to go to Associated Press to find out anything about it because the news people were not saying one peep about what was going on in the Paula Jones trial.
yeah,
And when I went on Associated Press, I got the shock of my life that Paula Jones' lawyers had over 30 women lined up to testify against Bill Clinton for
mm,
sexual harassment. That's why he settled out of court with her, was to keep that from becoming known knowledge that he had sexually harassed that many women and used his influence as governor and president to do it
yeah,
because he did sexually harass women in the White House. There was one, Paula Steele, I think was her name at the White House, that was a volunteer that he ripped her blouse. And she left the White House and never went
Oh,
back.
oh man.
And she was one of the women that was going to testify in the Paula Jones trial against him.
Oh, jeez.
And her cat came up missing. And some guy in a dark suit ran up to her while she was out jogging one morning and said, "It's a shame about your cat. Hope your kids are okay," and ran off. When she got back home, she found her cat dead on her doorstep. And I mean, there was some stuff that went on with Bill Clinton while he was in office that should have been called out. People ended up dead. Friends of you either ended up dead or in jail if you were connected with the Clintons.
Yeah. So yeah, so this is my
So,
third wrap up. Okay, guys. Look, there's I would like to have conversations, and I don't want this to be like a dump where Patricia and I just dump stuff on you. I want us to have an exchange. I've put up all the chats we've had so far that we've covered on the screen. Okay, so we get chats from we have three YouTube channels that are being live streamed to right now. So um
but you know, the conversations like this over situations like this do need to be had
yes,
because people need to be informed on what is the facts connected to it, what is the legal standings on it, and what can be done about it.
yeah,
But
it's
one of the things that I was told was that colleges were trying to teach students morals. That is not something a school can teach a child
yeah.
or a young person. That is something that's passed down from parent to child within families.
That's the job of the parents.
Yes.
We're back to parenting now.
And it's important to teach your children morals. It's important to teach them what's right and what's wrong. And that is so the children, when they grow up, can make better choices.
Yeah,
And if you're telling them that monsters like this exist out there in the world and to be aware of them and steer clear of them, you're protecting your child.
yeah,
Instead of saying, "Oh, he's rich. Yeah, he can help you get a really good job." No, no. You tell your child, go put the application in and stand on your own merit. Period.
yeah. Okay, so uh let's it's Saturday night, and I want to call I want to call it and say good night. But you know what? I miss just I don't know if you guys can tell. I love doing this. I love talking with you guys. I love talking with Patricia. You know, we can talk for hours and hours, and I guess you can see
Yeah.
it on the live stream. So I want you guys to let us know what you think in the comment section in the chat. Uh,
Yeah,
as we
don't be
and
sucked into these
yeah,
idiots' sewer.
yeah, and if
Look
you're not
at both
subscribed,
sides. Look at both sides before you pass judgment on stuff.
yes, please look at both sides. And I would like to say this. Okay, if you're not subscribed to the channel, please consider subscribing. Like the videos, watch the videos. If you're on one of the backup channels, okay, use the link in the show note of this live stream to connect to the main channel. I have a membership running on the main channel. It's very likely, Patricia, I'm going to be moving my membership away from YouTube because you now YouTube charges 30% of everything
Yeah.
that is made on YouTube. I'm grateful that they give us these platforms to operate in. But when you're a small channel like mine is, and you're trying to kind of make this whole thing make sense, someone taking a 30% bite out of something that is really small kind of makes it
That's a lot.
difficult. And in the during the Biden years, we had a lot of people losing their channels because they said things that the algorithm didn't like. And some
Yeah.
of the things that we said tonight, I don't think the algorithm will like very much. Patricia, I told you that the last live stream we had, I think it was on Saturday or on Wednesday, where we talked about Iran,
Yeah.
where we talked about Iran, we got a copyright, not a copyright strike, but a like they restricted the video, which means they would not circulate it, and we would not make much any money on it if it was viewed, and it's kind of suppressed the video. So
That's censorship.
so so
Yeah.
I told you that I was going that I had sent in a request for a review. The review came back and we won. So there was no need for us to have been suppressed in the first place. Okay. Canary King says Clinton looks so happy in this picture. Oh, yes, he is. He looked happy. He was with his people.
Yes.
So now what was I saying? So when gosh, I've lost my thought. Canary King is your fault. Okay, so I'm talking about what now? What was I talking about, Patricia? Because I need to
we
get this
was
thought
you
out
was
there.
talking about the Iran thing and the censorship on it.
Yes, yes. So I appealed it and it got cleared and we won the appeal. So a platform as big as YouTube can't
Well,
they can't employ enough people.
at the
They can't employ enough people to watch every video, and so they have these things that they code, and the people who code tell them to look for things like what we talk
yeah.
about here, and then your videos are suppressed, and they're like, well, we didn't suppress it intentionally. The platform is coded to do things a certain way, and it just happens to affect creators like
You
us.
know, since that ran, it's come out that the EU is standing with America, that major countries all over the world are standing with America on Iran, except Britain.
Oh, that's a conversation for another
I
day.
mean, even
It's a
Canada is standing for Iran. Yes, Canada is
it's
on
it's
Iran's side,
it's
the
interesting to
Iranian
watch.
people's side.
It's
They're
interesting to
standing with
watch.
America against Iran. They're supporting
Yeah,
America and Israel going after the Ayatollah and his regime.
yeah,
So so
like I
once that started happening, YouTube had to say, "Oops, we need to reverse this.
so for
Fix the algorithm."
you know what, guys, you can tell that I enjoy hanging out here and talking with you guys and trying to connect and everything. I'm gonna just say good night for the final time. Canary King says, he did. And like I said, I keep saying Canary King is always trying to, he does stuff like this regularly, and I'm happy. Look, I'm happy to hang out, and I'm happy to be caught out by Canary King where he says something and I lose my train of thought. All right, but it's fine, guys. So we're going to be uh we're going to be depending on you guys to help us get the word out. Keep coming back whenever we go live. We've dropped our live stream schedule to 2 times a week for now. Wednesday at 6:30 p.m. Eastern, and Saturdays 6:30 p.m. Eastern. I hope that you would consider setting your clocks or your alarms to be here whenever we go live. And above everything, above showing up and everything, we would really love for you to engage in the chat and let's have a conversation, and let it not just be us doing a brain dump on you, but let us have a conversation about
Yes.
what's really going on. And then
And
and if you can, please consider watching the videos that we have on the VOD side on the main channel. Like I said, if you want to get to the main channel, the link is right there. Join the membership, you head over there, then watch the videos. We're doing most of it on the main channel now. Patricia, you want to say something before I say goodnight and pull
yes,
the plug?
Go down below the video, hit that share button, and when it pops up, there is a URL, the address for the video. Hit copy, go to Facebook and paste it on your Facebook. Share it.
Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, guys. So we're going to see you on Wednesday. I'm going to be. I hope to release another video before Wednesday. But guys, as always, it's fun, and I'd love to see you on the next one. So Patricia, you want to say good night?
Good night, y'all.
All right. Good
Have a
night.
good
God
one.
bless you. And if you can, go to church tomorrow
Yep. And say your prayers.
and say your prayers. All right. Good night, guys. Bye.
Bye bye.